Oh my god, the last week in the NBA has been absolutely insane. We've seen Bradley Beal get traded to the Phoenix Suns. We've seen Kristaps Porzingis going to Boston in a 3-team trade. And now we're seeing Chris Paul, future Hall of Famer Chris Paul, get traded to the Golden State Warriors. This just went down. Shams broke the news. Woj came in right after. Chris Paul, we all knew he was going to get traded after he was used in the Beal trade for salary purposes, and he gets traded a few days later to Golden State. Wow, I have so much to talk about this trade. We know the full details. It's basically Golden State is getting Chris Paul in exchange for Jordan Poole. Yes, Jordan Poole is going to Washington, as well as a protected first-round pick in 2030, a second-rounder in 2027, and Golden State's second-rounder last year in Ryan Rollins. Okay, this is crazy because I thought maybe he would go to the Clippers, maybe he would go to Philadelphia. I did not think that the Warriors were actually going to do this trade because in the long term, they're going to save money. Chris Paul's contract isn't expiring. They just extended Jordan Poole last offseason, so the extension was going to kick in right now. This season going forward, where he was going to be making 25 plus million, it didn't work out. They also want to bring back Draymond Green. So we'll immediately talk about this for the Golden State Warriors side of things. They had a disappointing 2023 season, losing in the second round to the Lakers, and it really wasn't a competitive series after they ended up beating Sacramento in 7 games in round 1. And we knew that the Warriors were going to make some major decisions this offseason. Were they going to possibly move Klay Thompson? Are they going to move on from Draymond Green? Would they move Jordan Poole? Would they move Kuminga? Would they move any future picks? And we kind of got the answer to that. So they're able to get a veteran point guard, which I kind of love because I think for Chris Paul's career, he never really played with that. Like, his best play was in Houston when he did play with somebody that could take the load off and be that lead ball handler, where Chris Paul could take a little bit of a rest and not have to be the guy with the ball in his hands, and James Harden. And now we get to see him in Golden State with that, and he doesn't even need to play 30 minutes a night. He could play 25, 22 minutes a night and be that floor general when they need him to be. And oh my goodness, we get to see Klay Thompson and Steph Curry play off ball in a Chris Paul ran offense. This might be insane. Now, he might be cooked on defense, but there's a chance if he's a serviceable defender, we see a Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green small ball 5 lineup, which is sick. And then at sometimes they could take out Chris Paul, they could take out either Wiggins or Klay and put in Kevon Mooney to get a little bit more height out there. But I think this is a great pickup for Golden State if they really regret that Jordan Poole extension, and it looks like they did. They ended up giving up a protected 2030 first. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of protections on that pick, and that's a pick that's happening in 7 years from now. But yeah, they ended up giving up Poole. His time in Golden State is done. We kind of knew this season was going to be interesting when in training camp, preseason, Draymond punched him, and it ended up kind of looming over the Warriors season all year long, and then it was talked about, and then they ended up losing, like I said, in round 2 to the LA Lakers. Draymond recently opted out of his player option, which wasn't too surprising because he could probably get more guaranteed money in free agency in a longer term deal, and I believe he wants to go back to Golden State, and they said, yeah, we're bringing in Chris Paul. And they don't have to give up Kuminga, which is big for them, or Moses Moody, so they still get some of their young assets as well, and they get to keep pick 19 in tonight's draft. And we'll see if the Warriors do make any other moves, like, yes, Draymond could leave. Yes, they could still move Kuminga if they wanted to. I don't think Klay is going anywhere by any means. They brought in a new general manager, Mike Dunleavy Jr. So yeah, this was a big blockbuster move, and just the fact that the Warriors just traded for Chris Paul. Out of all the amazing playoff series between the Rockets and the Warriors in the mid to late 2010s, and then Chris Paul just ends up on the Warriors, and he may finish his career there. Who knows? Because I believe they would get some type of bird rights on him after this season if he did want to re-sign with Golden State. So I'll talk about that, or that was me talking about it for Golden State. I like it for next year. Now, long term, Jordan Poole was one of your younger pieces, but he didn't play well in the playoffs. He was inconsistent throughout the regular season. It may come back and bite you, but you are going to save some money in the long term, not having to pay that luxury tax, or at least that rich price that they were going to have to. Now, for Washington, it's funny because even though this was a protected first rounder in 2030, the Wizards technically got more first round picks for Chris Paul than they did for Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis combined, which is just funny to say out loud. And yes, I know Bradley Beal's contract has no trade clause. KP had an opt-out, so they didn't have any leverage in either of those trades. It's just kind of funny that they ended up getting a first for Chris Paul, but not for the guy that they traded away for Chris Paul on a 3-teamer that happened, even though they got some seconds. But yeah, Washington is really blowing it up, and they're going to be so much more exciting as a team's future. I said this all the time about the Utah Jazz last year with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell on their roster. I said this for a while with Orlando when they had Vucevic and Aaron Gordon and Evan Fournier, and in San Antonio when they had DeMar DeRozan and Marcus Aldridge. Like, it's time to just blow these teams up. Like, you don't want to be in purgatory too long, and I'm telling you, the Wizards, they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA next year. They have Jordan Poole in the backcourt with Tyus Jones, Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert. You know, I'm kind of talking myself into it. Daniel Gafford, they'll have the 8th overall pick tonight. It's not the worst roster by any means. I mean, they're not going to be making the playoffs most likely, but it's not a terrible roster, and they can just add to that young core going forward, and the Wizards are going to be so much more entertaining as a team to just talk about their future, and they're going to have so much of a higher ceiling than they did with Bradley Beal, and then they finally traded him 2 years too late. Like, imagine they traded him 2 years ago and they would have got multiple first round picks. But I've talked about that plenty enough. I'm really excited about the Wizards' future, and I'm glad that Michael Winger and the new front office and Travis Schlenk might be in there as well, and some of the other guys, they're finally making big decisions in Washington and really giving this team a sense of direction. Like, picking up, I think, Tyus Jones is fine. You can even look to extend Tyus Jones on a 2 to 3 year deal, and then maybe eventually you stumble across your franchise point guard in the top 5 in the draft in a few years, and he's just your stopgap guy till then. Or Tyus Jones, who I think is one of the more underrated point guards in the league, balls out and then ends up just having great trade value at the deadline, and you can maybe get some good assets in exchange for him. So I didn't really get to talk about that Celtics 3-team trade at all. At least I'm making a Celtics rebuild over on the Six Rings channel. But yeah, I did not expect to see Chris Paul go to the Golden State Warriors. I want to know what you guys have to say about this trade in the comments below. I like it for the Warriors in a vacuum, but yeah, in 2 to 3 years, we may look at this team and they kind of blew a potential like longer dynasty because they were so bad in 2020 and in 2021, and then in 2022 they won it all, and we're like, okay, they just won it all. They still have a great core. Wiggins is around 30 years old. He's not as old as Draymond or Steph or Clay. And then they have the new generation of Wiseman, a former 2nd overall pick, Kuminga, who has all the potential in the world, and Moses Moody, and they kind of like just didn't utilize it at all. Like, they ended up moving I should have mentioned Jordan Poole in that young core as well, but Wiseman ended up being a bust for the Warriors. They ended up just losing in round 2 last year. The dynamic wasn't there with Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, and Draymond's still one of the top defenders in the league. But yeah, the Warriors, they're still a championship contender next year. Are they the best team in the Western Conference? No, that's Denver. Are they in that next tier of teams with Phoenix and the Lakers and Memphis, and maybe you also like the Kings and the Clippers in there as well? Yeah, I think every seed besides the top dog in the West, which is the Nuggets, is wide open. I don't think there's like a consensus second best team in the West. Yeah, it's probably going to be the Suns on paper with Booker, Durant, and Beal, but I think the Warriors can be right there as long as they stay healthy and Chris Paul can really buy into this Warriors system. As for the Wizards, yeah, like I said, they're probably going to be one of the worst teams in the league next year, but that's okay. I'm super excited to do like my 10-year post Bradley Beal Wizards video. That is going to probably be out after the draft. I did upload a Kristaps Porzingis Celtics rebuild over on the Six Rings channel today. And yeah, I'm going to be live streaming the draft 7:45 on this channel. Just make sure you're subscribed. I will also be live on the Bleacher Report app at 7 o'clock talking more about this Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors trade. So, hey, if you have the Bleacher Report, you'll be able to see me over there. Like I said, let me know what you guys think of this trade in the comments below. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. Drop a like if you guys do enjoy these reaction videos to see all these trades. Hey, whenever I'm near my setup and a big trade goes down, I will hop on and make a video about it. And then, you know, of course, we're going to be doing rebuilds about that as well on the 2K channel. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love y'all, and I'll see you guys at later tonight's draft stream. Peace.